welcome back everybody to another 3D Hangout. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is of course 3D Hangouts. I'm Noe Pedro Ruiz, designer here at Adafruit. Joining me every week, Mr. Pedro.
I'm Pedro Ruiz, creative tech here at Adafruit, and every week we come to share 3D print projects featuring electronics from Adafruit.
That's right. This is a show we combine 3D printing and DIY electronics to make inspirational projects.
Why are you out of focus?
I don't know. Maybe if I step back further. I'm going to sit down for a second. It's been a crazy morning, but let's jump right into the show. This week's coupon code is JST Power.
JST Power. For everybody,
Raider was the closest one.
Yeah, for everybody in the chat room trying to guess the coupon code.
Yeah, we'll make that into a game. You guys can guess it.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and I'll throw out some clues and hints and things like that. But I don't know what you'll win, but maybe just a high five or something.
Yeah, so this week's project
let's run through the same stuff. We have UPS deals going on, so folks that are in the US, if you spend $200 more, you get free shipping. That means if you buy a printer, you get free shipping on that. Pretty cool. Plus the 10% discount. Yeah, that's really good stuff. If you're in the New York City area, we have the same day delivery options. It seems to be working out, so we're still doing it. We have a newsletter. If you go to adafruitdaily.com, you can check out the newsletter. All sorts of different categories. The latest one, MicroPython.
Definitely check that out. We got
CircuitPython.
Scott and Tony running that.
Yeah.
Coming out with some really good articles, so definitely don't miss that. Subscribe to that.
Yep. Run through the segments. We'll do a what are you prototyping. We'll do a quick layer by layer segment. We will do a shop talk, lots there. We'll do Q&A at the end of the show, and I need to reorganize the strips so that Community Makes comes before the Q&A. So if you have any projects, you can let us know. We'll definitely share it on the show and on the blog and beyond.
Very cool.
Quick programming note. Sorry, Pedro. It is Wednesday, not Thursday. We used to do the show on a Thursday for a couple of years now, but we switched over to Wednesday because we like Wednesday more.
Oh, it gives us more time to finish up next week's project.
There's a reason. I think some sort of mouse with ears and some sort of castle was involved. I don't know. I think Kirby might know. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us in the chat room. I want to welcome everybody here.
Oh, wow.
All the usual
Quick
suspects.
shout out over to Jim, who was in Shenzhen.
Hello, Jim. Thank you for joining us all the way.
ATMaker's.
Yes, Bill Binko. We have some stuff from Bill later in the show. Writers in the chat. He started the chat room with the sudo start service thing. I appreciate that. Kirby's in the chat room. He is a moderator. Be nice to Kirby or he will ban you. I think he can ban people. I don't know. But nobody ever, you guys are great, so don't have to worry about that. Okay, I think that's it for the chat room. All right.
Greg, Mizinia.
Good evening. All right, let me go to the right page. So this week's project is not really like this kind of project that you would expect, I guess you could say. This week's project is kind of like the thing that you have to make before the thing, right? So a lot of the times with our projects, you need a battery. Right? You need to be able to turn it on and off. A lot of our boards, a lot of the Adafruit boards have built-in JST connectors, and you can plug in any one of our batteries that we carry in the shop. They all have the male JST connector. You plug it in, and your thing instantly powers on. Some of the boards have switches, most of them don't. So the thing here is that to have the ability to turn off your project is pretty important, right? So before, when I first started doing Adafruit projects, to turn it off and on, I would actually just cut the red wire from the battery and then wire in a slide switch. I would do that for many projects for many months. And then Pedro, I think you're the one who came up with this kind of thing. It's not like it's never been done before, but it's something that Pedro started doing, and I got interested in it and started doing it in my projects. A lot of my projects use a power boost, and they don't really use you really don't need to do this for projects that use a power boost. I was just thinking about that last night. And they probably wouldn't do this for a project with the featherboard, mainly because if you use a slide switch JST adapter, then you're essentially kind of killing the recharging feature on the featherboards. So this one is more for projects where it makes sense to leave your slide switch embedded into your project, your microcontroller embedded into your project, but have the ability to take your battery out of your project so you can recharge it. Maybe you want to recharge it faster, maybe the battery has reached its lifespan and you need to kind of get things in and out of it. So that's where a slide switch JST adapter makes sense. So I just wanted to make this guide this week because I find myself making this more and more. The more kind of generic projects that I do that don't have a featherboard or a power boost, this is something that I kind of need to do all the time. So I figured I'd break this out into its own guide and then kind of lighten the load. Because if you look at a lot of the projects, like we have a dedicated page just for making this slide switch JST adapter thing. So hopefully you guys checked out the video. If you haven't, please do check it out. I cover it way more in depth in there. The guide walks you through kind of the general steps, but the video, what I like about it is that it adds value to it because there's a lot of micro steps that go involved, right? Like little mini steps here. So there you go. So if your board or your circuit or your solderless breadboard doesn't have JST connector on it, we do have these little JST breakouts that you can get for your projects. I think I used them in a couple of different projects. It's a nice way to get your JST female connector to your project. We do carry an on and off switch. It's pre-made. It's a JST extension cable, and in the middle of it is an on and off switch. We don't really use that, I don't think, in any of our projects, mainly because all of our projects are so small, right? That's the key here, is that they're small. We need a really small slide switch. If you look at Paige's project last week, it was like mounted to your head. It was so small, and the only way I was able to do that was to use just the smallest bare minimum stuff. So a honkin' on and off switch on the side of your head might not look the best. But if you are somebody, you know what I looked at, if you look at the product page of this thing, you can see where it's used in projects. And no surprise, a lot of Aaron's projects, Aaron St. Blaine, who does a lot of the wearable projects, this is where that makes sense because your project is a garment, you know, it's a wearable. So being able to have a nice big button and distance away from your garment is very key. So you really have to, I hope this kind of gets people thinking about that more about that, and then just sort of, I did make one note about, you know, when I first started, I would just toss in a on and off switch into the enclosure and call it a day. A lot of the times it would be a glued enclosure or screwed down, and it's kind of a pain to come in there and just turn it off, right? Take it apart to turn it off. So try to avoid that. I do have kind of a page that I don't normally do in my guides. It's called planning, right? So I break it down in like 5 different little paragraphs here. Think before you make. Obviously, think about where your switch is going to go. From a user experience perspective, I guess you could say, where does it make sense to be? Is it easy to turn it off and on? Do I have to reach all the way behind the thing to turn it on and off? Think about that before you finish the project. Yeah. How's it going to be secured in the project? Is it going to be glued in the project? That type of stuff. What type of switch should I use? You don't have to use a slide switch, obviously. If you have a bigger battery, if you have a bigger power needs, you're going to need a switch that can handle more amperage or more voltage. I tend to have a 5-volt project, so the slide switch is just fine for that. I think that was it for the planning, but just kind of thinking about where should your components be placed in your project. Should the slide switch be further away from the component? Should it be close to the component? That type of stuff is all dependent on your project and the size of it. So there you go. The next pages just walk you through kind of step by step of what you need to do. I did throw in the kind of little quick tip that I got from Colin and I think Becky as well. Putting little pieces of heat shrink tubing on your helping third hands, the little grabbers, just to kind of avoid those bite marks, because you do get bite marks and your wires kind of get kinked. And if you're heating up a wire while it's being kinked, then it'll kind of get melty and turn all nasty. So this is just one way to kind of make it nicer. So if you don't know about it, check it out. I recently rechanged it because it's been like a year since I've updated that piece of heat shrink tubing, so now it's all nice and fresh. So I figured I'd shoot that quick. Yeah, so again, this thing definitely needs to be different, custom to your project, to your needs. So the length of wires is all determined on the size of your project. Wiring is pretty straightforward. You just wire it. I'm hoping to do maybe like a how-to solder video in the not too distant future. So yeah, we have a lot of different sizes and things like that. So maybe we can do something on the overhead real quick just to kind of show you the different sizes that we have. So Paige just kind of got them all ready for you. They can not just be different wire lengths, but you could kind of wire them at a right angle, so you have even more space savingness. If you look at the top one that Pedro has in his hands, what was this one for?
This one is going to be for the Logan's Run LED for your
Okay.
hand.
So by wiring the wires to the pins of the slide switch at a right angle, you kind of save on space. Because if you look at this way, you see how this one's just going straight out. With the latest project I'm working on, the feather box, the feather is so close to the switch that imagine my hand being the edge of the PCB. It kind of needs to be wired that way. And if you look at this switch, that's actually how it's wired. If I take this apart, you can see that the red wire is like going that way and not going down. So you can have them in different formats, is what I'm trying to tell you, is that you can format your switch wiring to better suit your project, especially if it's a small one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key here. We do a lot of very small projects, and Pedro's next project is so tiny that it fits in your hand. it fits in the palm of your hand. It's so tiny and small.
Yeah, I think this is what really gets across why we have to go through all the trouble of creating this, because the size of just this push button on this guy here is the entire size of what this whole slide switch is.
Yeah.
So when you're working with very tiny little embedded enclosures for all your projects,
Yep.
size makes an enormous difference.
Right.
And just in terms of being able to solder, like you were saying, at the right angle compared to this, is the difference between being able to fit a bigger battery inside your enclosure,
Right.
and not being able to fit one at all with everything sandwiched in together.
Yep.
So this is, like you were saying, the project that we always have to do before we actually start on the project.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So we've looked, all over.
We looked at AliExpress and Alibaba for pre-made ones that are kind of similar to the tiny one.
Yeah,
But they aren't PA. They aren't. There are some. They're kind of for RC cars and things. But they're they use the different. They use a different connector.
Yeah. So
you still have to.
more
fashion your own.
specifically, these are called JST-PH.
Yeah.
2-pin.
PH2.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah. PH2.
PH2.
Yeah.
So every time I tried searching
I couldn't find
on
any,
sites
dude.
for that,
Yeah.
nobody had these.
Oh.
Which is no surprise, since our JST connectors, the extenders, Lamar actually had to have these custom built for us. So
Really?
it's no surprise, that
So we
people
have
do not have them.
some factory in China make them for us.
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
Yeah, other people make them now.
I actually
obviously,
wanted
because
to
they're
ask
pretty
Lamar if
popular.
we could get these made, but I just kind of decided
It's
not to
probably
ask
hard, yeah.
because it's like,
Must be a hassle. But
okay.
that is this week's.
That's this week's project. If you
Project?
do find it useful, I would appreciate it if you let me know in the comment of the video. That helped me out because I like useful things as well. It's not just maybe the expectation is for every week to come out with a Lucio blaster or a Daft Punk helmet. Sometimes it's nice
Those
to make.
take a while to do.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to do a tutorial on how to tie your shoes. It's very important. You like that one? Yeah, me too. All right, one last thing regarding this project is, I think I already mentioned it. I'm just looking at my notes here. So for the feather boards, again, if you want to use recharging on your feather boards, you got to use the enable and ground pins. There are some caveats with that. If depending on your project, the charging the battery kind of only works if it's wired into the enable switch. There is an enable pin and ground button on the power boost as well. So I've never made this You see, I've never made this guy for Pi Girl. You don't have to because the power boost has, you know what I mean? So you have to really think about, do I need this? So I just want to throw that out there. It's not for every project, right? But it is for like 90% of the projects.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd say that. All right. That's the project. The mini project. Projectception.
Yeah, so Bill is saying that he'd love to see Adafruit sell adapters. I just moved the screen for me.
Yeah, I did. Because
Let's see, RC batteries on feathers. So there's got to be some reasoning behind why Lamar doesn't allow that. Probably the voltage or something like that.
So RC batteries, I'm not sure if they... So one cool thing about all the batteries we carry in the shop, they all have circuit protection, right? So they can't be overcharged. And I think there's polarity safety in there. So if you were to actually touch the red wire and the black wire, I don't think it'll explode, hopefully, because there's a charging circuit right in between the little pouch. I don't have a battery with me. I can't show it to you. But I do believe they have that. And those RC batteries might not have that.
Yeah.
Right. so I'm not sure.
There's always reasons.
Okay. So if you guys want to pick up like the slide switch or wires or heat shrink tubing or even the tools, please use this coupon code, JST Power. I can't recommend having tools more. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to what are you prototyping? ... Pedro, what are you prototyping? Do you want to do that?
I believe you are still under the overhead cam. Okay, so this, so for next week's project, Phil had the idea to get inspiration from Logan's Run, where they have the little LED on their hand, and it was a great opportunity to make the most compact little LED with a Gemma battery enclosure that I could do. So of course we're doing the really cool little threading on here, so we can open and close this by just screwing this top on. And I just traced out the little gem that they have on their hand. If you guys haven't seen Logan's Run, it's one of those sci-fi movies from the 70s that predates Star Wars, so it's a little, you know, when you look back at it, it's still
dated
able
by
to...
definition, it's dated.
Yeah, it's still able to hold its own, though. It has some really
Bit
cool
of a
moments
cult
in
following
it.
or something,
Yeah,
you know?
but the whole reasoning behind this was, besides making the enclosure as small as I could, was using some sort of tape to hold this on there, because at first I was trying to model something in Ninja Flex that would sort of attach to your hand, or, you know, sort of a strap that would go around your hand, but that definitely takes away from the illusion of having a, you know, like a jewel on your hand. So
you like this? Have it turned on?
So we have, I forget who was it. It was Naomi.
Naomi,
and
Woo,
and
yeah, real sexy cyborg.
And John did some projects using the Tegaderm stuff to tape circuitry to their body.
Sure.
And I wanted to go pick some up and notice that they have this other stuff from M3. It's called what is this called?
Next Care?
Transport, and this attaches very good to 3D printed projects. If you guys have ever tried using just regular Scotch tape onto a 3D printed part, it doesn't hold on as well because of the ridges. Even on the bottom where it's all nice and melted together, it still has trouble attaching. But this stuff works really good because of the texture that is on here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it looks like medical tape, some sort of fabric.
Yeah, so that's able to hold on really well, and it definitely keeps the illusion of having the LED embedded into your hand like that. You switch over to this camera, and it stays on very well. It's able to, you know, you're able to have it on, take it off, and put it on back onto your skin multiple times, even if you have a little bit of sweat or oil on you. So it does a really good job of staying on. So for like wearable projects or cosplay projects where you don't want to have like wires running through, like say you have like multiple LEDs going down your arm or something like that, you don't have to have like, you don't have to ruin the illusion by having wires connecting all those bits together.
Yeah.
And because each section has its own battery on it, you're able to get a lot more battery life out of your wearables out of that. So it's really cool because you're able to stick this like pretty much anywhere without it.
Unicorn.
Yeah, definitely make a unicorn without having the hat on there is a good idea.
That's fine.
But it attaches very well, and you're able to use it for multiple applications. It holds on. Man.
Yeah. So this is for what is it? What is the tape normally for?
So this is for surgical, like for Band-Aids and like for holding wounds together.
Okay.
Wow. But you know, you can just grab this at like a Walgreens or whatever, and it's like like $6, and I didn't have to use a lot of this to hold it together.
That's cool.
So this will be next week's project. You want to go back over to the overhead?
Sure.
Super simple. I know there's like a ton of other use cases you can use this in. Like I was saying, like you want to have like spikes or like LEDs like all over your face or something like that. This is a good way to hold them on without ruining the effect that, you know, there's wires connected to it. So definitely recommended using, is this NextCare is the brand. They just call it flexible clear tape. And what you want to look for is that they have this cool little texture on here that's holding onto your skin and the 3D printed part very well.
Cool. I
So
just
that
like that the top is twisty with a custom
we'll talk
threaded
about
via
that.
coils, which is my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do if you have an enclosure that's a cylinder. I have a tutorial on how to do that if you guys want to learn how to do that in CAD.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next
Fun.
week actually. So this is definitely, I think, the smallest battery, Gemma, and a new pixel jewel enclosure. It's if you don't count the top here, that has to have like the little gem part on it. It's pretty small.
Interesting side comment from Bill from ATMakers. You got to be careful with the Tachoderm; it'll rip your hair out. So if you're putting it, you know, on maybe an armpit or somewhere.
Actually, this stuff does not stick onto my hair at all. But
so you did see Tachoderm.
I did see Tachoderm, but
you didn't get it.
I didn't get it. Yeah, I wanted something that was just like tape, and good thing I didn't. Although I should have grabbed it just
because there were
to
like
be able
big
to compare.
sheets of them, and you.
I didn't need big sheets. Yeah, I did not want to do any cutting. This is just rip it off. It's like the exact same diameter that I need, and I just fold it over itself. A loop to.
This tutorial has turned to how to stick electronics on your skin.
Yeah, but as you've seen, look, it still holds, and it doesn't stick to your facial hair.
No.
This is really good.
I've never heard of this tape.
This is the first time. Yesterday was the first time I
didn't really have a reason to look for it till now. So
but we'll definitely use this in more projects. So definitely recommended if you're gonna do some more wearable LED projects. So
this video is sponsored by 3M. Just kidding, it's not. It's sponsored by you. So if you want to support the show, hey.
Wow, it still holds, like in terms of its stickiness.
Yeah.
I'm in love with this stuff. And check it out too on the table too. It doesn't stick to other things, just your skin.
Wow.
Yeah. This is awesome. I can't get it out of it.
He's giddy for this tape, guys.
So definitely check that out.
Iron Man's chest light.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good. There's so many. Again.
Just make sure you shave, I guess, if you have.
Well, yeah, for it to stick, because it's not going to stick to your hair.
It doesn't stick to hair.
Yeah. So again, 1,001 uses, and just change this design top out or whatever.
Okay.
All you really need is just like the diameter of what the Gemma and the jewel will hold, and it's a 150 milliamp hour battery on there, and of course we have very tiny little JST slide switch adapter inside there as well.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever made one where like the pins just connect to the other pin and there's like no wires?
I have done that, but it's closer to the board, so it's.
So you don't want to do that.
No, it just it depends on how you're mounting your electronics inside the enclosure. If it's close to the outer wall of it, then you can do that. But if it's not, you're gonna have to route it somehow, and this is the best way to do it.
Cool. I like the use of silicone-coated wires here because you get way more flex than the.
That's actually something, we didn't touch upon.
What is this material? I forget. Does anybody know what the material is?
The non-silicone.
Yeah, because it heats up. It can melt
off. When you're doing a lot of
junky
enclosures where you need to bend it into a shape, the wires can come loose off of the.
They come loose and they curl up and get nasty. So.
But yep.
Cool.
Gemma M0 is coming soon. Already have projects.
Yeah, I think it's being manufactured.
That.
It's just like being pick and place.
Yeah, everything takes forever. Yeah. So
even when the pick and place machine is right next to you, it still takes forever.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're gonna move on to the kind of layer by layer segment. It's kind of like a what are you prototyping plus layer by layer segment. So let me go right into that. So guys, I did a soft launch. I guess we can call it a soft launch of the Adafruit Featherbox, the 3D printed enclosure. So you've probably seen me for the past, was it two or 3 weeks? It feels like. I've been working on this Featherbox multi-purpose enclosure for the lightweight feather boards from Adafruit. So I figured I would release it to the public for folks to download, and then I would ask if they have any suggestions, problems, what kind of experiences you have with it before I publicly announce it on things like the repo sites. So a little bit different. We normally have a video, and then that's the way we publish it. There's no video yet. It's going to be next week. So I just wanted to get this out to folks now, and this kind of got kickstarted by a gentleman in the Adafruit forums that asked for the files, and I was like, I should just give them to him because I have 2 or 3 folks that are printing them out for me. Bill, who's in the chat room from ATMakers, he kind of kickstarted this project, kind of commissioned me to do it, and I got really enthralled to work on it. And then I have Kirby, who printed it out on his Lowspot. He let me know there's a little bit of things. I've already updated it, so we're already like on the 2nd version of it. Really like the 40th version, to be honest. So it is out. You can get the STLs now. Please, if you do print it out, just know that it might not fit because there's so many nuances from your slicers to the filament to the printer. There's a lot of stuff. So I really want to see what the general community, how it performs, right, in terms of just the tolerances. That's really the main thing. That's like, is it too tight for the two pieces to snap in together? Is there enough clearance for the USB port to get plugged into? Do the pins from the female headers crash and intersect with the standoffs? Those are the type of things I need to know. It works on my side, but does it work for everybody else? Don't know. So far, it's been 50-50. Like, yes, it works, but hey, this is broken or whatever. So I have that there. I'd like to have a discussion in the forum. I really don't use the Adafruit forums that much other than to kind of answer support's emails, but I think that would be a good place to centralize all the conversations. I haven't had anybody comment yet, so I don't know if there's much to do there. It is released on GitHub, which is different. So what I did was I made a personal repo so that I can quickly export my STLs and then just push them instead of having to upload them to Pinshape or Thingiverse constantly. It's just easier for me to hit commit and type in a thing. So you kind of get versioning control and all that sort of stuff with GitHub. So this is the first project I've ever put on GitHub. So that's on GitHub. It's not on Thingiverse, it's not Pinshape yet. It will be once I want to promote the things as usable. So there, that's that part. The next part I wanted to do is just kind of show you in CAD, in Fusion. Let me switch over to the Fusion screen. So in Fusion, I just wanted to give you a quick update on the actual CAD stuff itself. So I'm really working hard to kind of make this clean and digestible so folks can, the folks who do want to do the CAD stuff can and will be able to modify it without too much effort. So I think the main thing that I changed was the ability to have a user parameter, a quick user parameter for the length of the case. So I have this one over here called case length. Right now it's set to 68. I'm going to increase that to 100. I don't know why you would want a bigger case, but if you did, you could do that. If you wanted a shorter case, you could make it a smaller thing. But for the most part, it is adaptive. So you'll notice that the little mounting tabs, they have kind of like a center-based constraint. So that means that whenever the case gets elongated and increases in length, the tabs will always be in the center. Another thing about that is the actual nubs are all driven the same way. So they're all central based, you know, in terms of constraints. They're all constrained to always be in the center. So I'm going to change this back to 68. And then you'll see how kind of everything kind of adapts to it. It takes a little bit to compute because there's a lot of copies and stuff. And you can see it's still in the center. One cool thing about that, having it center base, is that toppers like, not the Adafruit wing topper, but toppers like the kind of full one it can go in at either orientation. So that's nice. Also with the battery holder, if you notice that the battery holder there's one version that has a switch holder. So that means you can kind of orient it in whatever way you want. There's no right way to orient it. So if you wanted this switch on this side, just reorient the thing. And the nubs are all centered based, so you can just snap them in. Another thing I did was I added I think the most important thing is I called it snap tolerances. So this is basically the tolerances for all the edges that need to snap together. So if I do a cross section here, you can see, let's just take a look at this one. This is the topper, the little pink thing is the topper, the peach color is the case. You'll see that there is a little bit of clearance between them. If you do a quick measurement, you can see, you know, what it is. I click on that, hold down shift, click on an edge. It's 0.4 distance of a millimeter, so 0.4 of a millimeter clearance, which seems like a lot, but it turns out to be pretty good, at least on my slicer and my printer, on my filament, whatever. So what I wanted to do is just have the ability to quickly change them all with one thing. So if I wanted to make this even bigger, 0.08 of a millimeter, you will see that all the features get updated and nothing breaks. It's key that nothing breaks because, oh boy, can things break if you don't design it right. So there's tolerances in here as well, the little bottom area of the case that lets the nubs from the battery holder snip into. So you can see that there's much more clearance there. There's also clearance on the side, so like this edge wall to this edge wall. They all have that same amount of clearance, and I believe those are the main areas that have that apply that snap tolerances user parameter. So the lid and the battery connectors. So I think that's probably the most useful thing. So if folks find that they are too tight or too loose, you can easily change that. And if folks don't know how to use CAD, that's fine. I'll probably make subversions for specific folks because I think that's okay. Another thing I did, probably the last thing I'll talk about, is the tabs for mounting the case to other things. So if we look at the battery holder, I'm just going to enable the battery holder with the tabs. This guy over here. They are parametric now, so you can change them. So if we wanted a bigger hole, I don't know if I talked about this already, but if you have a bigger hole, I can change this to 8 millimeters. You'll notice that both of the tabs, because there are separate versions of some huge tabs. There's just some separate versions of each part. So the case comes in like 4 different variants, and same thing with the battery holder. So one of the versions have mounting tabs. So this is a little bit freakishly large, but you can change the diameter of the hole for the tab, and the rest of the features kind of update with it. So the fillets and the distance from the hole to the case is dynamic. So it's all being driven with this user parameter and a little bit of math. So I'll set this back to 4 millimeters, or you could change the millimeters to inches if you're into imperial freedom units. That's it. I hope this was useful. Dead silence.
So people can grab these over at GitHub if you don't want to wait until next week.
Yeah, you can grab them right now. And I really appreciate it if you did, and let me know how bad it is or how good it is. I don't know. That's why I'm releasing it. That was fun. So if you want to support the show, JST Power.
Get all of your projects, materials,
get your
and
feathers.
Parts to bring your projects to life.
They're all out of stock, but get your feathers. Okay, real quick, I'm just catching up with the chat room here.
So Ryder is saying that there is a bit of broken formatting under a feather box topper. Is that the blog post? I checked that out. That looks to be okay. Yanni is saying that an arc reactor would be awesome. Tony D did do one in Circuit Playground, so we do have the files to make an enclosure for that, so that would be really awesome. Have that attached to your hand. So originally, that's what actually we wanted to do with the Circuit Playground, to make this the Logan's Run LED on that. But when you take a look at the sizing of it, this is a lot more smaller than the radius of where the LEDs are on the Circuit Playground. So I just wanted to make something really small.
Yeah.
Not take away from the fact that you have like this giant circuit board or enclosure on your hand.
Yes.
So that's why I went with that. But it would definitely work for that.
That's right. Bill is saying it's a good use. It's a good case for the feather. Once all the minor issues. Yes. Yes. I'm hoping the minor issues have been solved in the latest version. Please try those out if you haven't, and let me know how it goes. What else am I missing here? Aaron is saying a 0.2 to a 0.5 millimeter tolerances is a good margin. I agree. I've never gone up to 0.5, and this is the first project that went up to 0.4. It's typically 0.2. I'm not sure why it's so large all of a sudden.
Tuna is asking, do we have any resellers in Turkey? You can check
You have to
out.
look yourself, yeah. Pedro just posted the link there. Adafruit.com/distributors has a map, and you can narrow your search.
Let's see, it looks like there is one in Turkey. They are called
Up north, yeah.
RoboWeb. So check them out. They
That's cool.
are in,
Yeah,
I
some
cannot
folks might
pronounce
not
this.
know about it. Let me click on the link.
Ankara?
I'll show you here. Oh, that's wrong.
Oh, there's actually 2 of them. There's one in Ankara called Robonet, and the other one is... Oh, wait, no, it looks like they're both Robonet.
2 Robonets. So Adafruit.com/distributors.
This goes for anybody who wants to get these without having to pay those crazy international shipping fees.
I broke
Go
mine.
to Adafruit.com/distributors. You can see where all of the hackerspaces are, as well as the distributors for anybody in your area.
How did you find Turkey so good? You just know geography way better than I do.
Oh, it is
next to Germany. No. Oh gosh, I've just embarrassed myself so bad. Forget.
Syria.
I did this.
Where are we? France. Scroll out.
I'm so sorry. I am so not. There it is. Turkey, right there.
There you go. There are. It looks like it's 2, but I think it's just 1.
Okay.
It's RoboWeb.
RoboWeb,
not RoboNet.
Awesome.
But yep, check it out. Get it from them.
Yeah. Hopefully you can just order it from them and not have to go a certain amount of miles and hours away from your home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can order online. That'd be ideal, and have them delivered if that's possible. Yeah. Options.
Very cool.
Cool.
Okay, next up we have Shop Talk. What is it?
Oh man, next to Germany. I know, Bill. You can make fun of me all you want, man. Where do I go next? I'm lost.
I'm looking at the notes here. It's Shop Talk. This
Shop
week's
Talk.
Time-lapse Tuesday was these funky drawers that everybody seemed to like. They came out very well. So this was on the Sigma R16, I want to call it, the older Sigma. So we're using the 0.6 millimeter nozzle on here, 0.3 millimeter layer height, and these came out fabulous. So apart from being a really cool sculpture inspired by Dr. Seuss, they have an ample enough storage to hold a bunch of like feathers, trinkets, gemmas, like some feather wing components inside here. So very awesome job of the designer, who actually makes quite a bit of really cool 3D printed stuff. So you want to check out
Sure.
Frank Flacco.
Sorry. Frank Flacco?
Mm-hmm.
Cool name.
Thanks,
Frank.
Yeah,
this is great. So this was featured on, let me just preface this with why we did this.
Mm-hmm.
This was featured on the homepage of Thingiverse, and we're looking for something for Time-lapse Tuesday, and apparently Dr. Seuss's birthday didn't happen too long ago, so there's a collection called Green Eggs and Ham, and this is one of like the top kind of popular things. It's kind of useful too, as Pedro said. You can store screws and different types of
and of course change out
things.
The colors to match whatever theme your area environment is like.
So Frank Falco, not Flacco.
Oops, sorry guy.
Yeah, so great designs. Thank you for sharing.
He actually just released one for Easter. It's he calls it an over-engineered egg, little painter thing.
Oh, this guy.
Is. So
That's
it
cool.
looks really cool because the
creative.
design of the cracked egg is baked into where you would put your colors into.
Oh.
It has like these little springs to
I get it.
accommodate
Yeah,
for.
I understand now.
Yeah, that's where you put the paints
That's
in.
dope.
Very awesome.
That's clever.
I like little springs that it can accommodate for different sized eggs.
Yeah.
Very nice little touch there. So
That's
definitely
clever.
follow
That's fun.
and check out his very awesome designs.
That's fun. Thanks, Frank. He's on Instagram too. Follow him if you'd like.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we talk about you kind of quickly talked about it, the importance of using a thicker nozzle and a thicker layer height
Yes, so
for big items. I have my own thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but how did that help you in this project?
So it definitely helps out in terms of being able to spit out a project or a part very fast. So I think with using the 0.4 millimeter nozzle would have took like 18 hours. This only took about 11 hours, and that's with the drawers and the chest itself. It's nice and thick, so he did an excellent job of doing like the ratio of how it's designed, so it's not going to wobble, fall over. And no supports were needed for this. The Sigma is able to handle pretty nice bridging.
Look at that bridging.
But you are going to have a bunch of like overhang here, but you can just snip all that off. Most important setting for this one was making sure you have at least 5 solid layers on the top to be able to catch
I'm a big
all
fan
of this.
of 5 or more top and bottom layers.
Yeah.
Just to make it a little bit more stronger. I was really I really wasn't sure that the tolerances would work, because as you increase the nozzle and the layer height, you might offset your things.
No, he did
Your
a really good job of
clearance
tolerances.
might need to be offset, but it worked out well. So.
Yeah, that was obviously my biggest fear as well.
Yeah, I was like, great, I printed this thing for 11 hours and nothing fits.
Yeah, but nope, I did a really good job on that. The only thing I needed to cut off was the retraction parts. You can even see it on the edge here. That you just take a hobby knife to it. And it's like so small.
Yeah.
You just cut that off, and it fits perfectly. Like we were saying, there is ample enough storage to actually have little components. Yeah. Screws, I think, would be very helpful to put in here.
Yeah.
And again, I like how it's something, you always see drawers being uploaded, but this one's a nice different style. So great job on that.
Yeah. One last note is that because we printed this on the Sigma, one of the opportunities y'all can do is use the independent head, so you can print the drawers on one color on one head and the chest on another one.
So I noticed that I think Roger, who's in the chat from Sigma, was doing that exact thing.
Yeah. So
definitely
great use of the what is it, IDEX, independent tool extruders. That's what they call it.
Yep. Cool. Definitely check this out. This week's Time-lapse Tuesday. Check out the video. Some nice funky music from the very awesome Bartle Beats.
Yes.
You want to jam out to that.
Okay.
Next up, we have a nice little unboxing of the R17.
Sigma from BCN3D. Hey, how well that bled into this part. So I just have to do each one?
Yeah, start with the unboxing first.
Cool. We're going to do something here, guys. Look at this. Just have some background here. There you go.
We're showing it? Okay, so you've probably seen a bunch of the unboxing videos on YouTube. Looks like everybody
There's no shortage of unboxing videos of the Sigma.
I know, so it's like...
Here's ours.
Yeah, it's obviously packaged very well. All the stuff is on the top there with the cables and the spools of filament.
It's sped up, huh?
Yeah, it's just sped up because everybody's seen this already.
So why are we showing it? To kill time. No. Yeah. I don't know. Do you like unboxing? Here it is.
I like unboxing. Super easy to set up. You just got to add the Bowden tubes on there, just a couple of foam pieces to remove, and the most satisfying part is peeling all of the protective plastic off of the side panels, and of course the all-new capacitive touch screen, which works pretty well. I'm really happy how sensitive it is. So the first thing that I did was took a look at what the motors are. Yep, because upgrading. You were right on it.
Wonderful.
Oh, actually,
this is like firmware, so you did a
firmware
so
update. For whatever reason, I'm not able to connect to it with my Mac, so I have a tiny little PC that is...
PCs for the win, guys.
I know.
Sorry, Mac.
So I did update the firmware on this to 1.2.3, the release candidate for this, that you can grab on their GitHub. I'm always lurking on there to see what new code's being pushed on there. So I checked that out. Worked pretty well. Okay. And then this is what the first thing I did, whatever the motor video is.
There is none, sorry.
You don't have it on here?
Nope, doesn't look like it.
Is it the switch stand?
I don't know.
Okay, well, one of the things I had to adjust was the screws on the Z-rod. I understand that it came, almost halfway around the world, so I'm used to tolerances on things being loose by the time it gets over to...
So tighten your screws?
Yep, so definitely check that.
Screws.
Check the screws on that. Okay. There was also some play in the rod that holds the two extruders on, so they were a little bit crooked, so I had to just pull them until they were nice and straight. And we don't even have the video on here.
You didn't give it to me.
You can check out on Instagram the little screw that I removed to enable the use of 175mm filament on that. Super easy to do. Just remove the mounting.
Follow Pedro on Instagram is today's lesson, because we kind of forgot to put this in the show. Which one?
Yep, you're on it.
This one. Okay, so at least this will kind of let you know. What is this about? 175 filament.
You're not showing video, is what people are saying.
Yeah, I am. You can clearly see it.
Okay. It's probably just a...
Maybe before, yeah. But it's fine now. So...
Okay, so there is a little screw that is blocking the ability for the spring arm to to fully grap onto smaller diameter filaments. So if you want to use a 175mm filament, that's all you have to do. Just remove that one screw and you should be good to go. I used blue tape and no heat on that, and it worked excellent. The only issues that we're having now are with the slice settings. Looks like some of the parameters have been changed for the way that the extrusion is happening with the new steppers. So if you go over the overhead, we are having some artifacts happening. It looks like it's over extrusion, but I took the exact same file and material and tried printing it with the older Sigma, and it you can see the differences between these two. So there is just some extrusion issues that, thankfully, it's just with these slice settings, so it's nothing mechanical. So I'm just trying to iron that out for the time being. But other than that, super quiet. Really love how fast the extruders are able to operate without having too much noise. Like a bunch of the times I was doing test prints, you look over and go, is it printing? And very happy to say that, yeah, the noise level on that is very low. Even the fans, when it's just on and idle, they did a really good job on that. So kudos to the Sigma team on that.
Yeah, folks were telling me that I was on the wrong screen, which is always the thing with Wirecast and just doing live stuff. So real quick, unboxing. Look, Pedro, he unboxed this.
Yeah, very nice blue package as well. All the tools are on the top. You have your manual, your 2 spools of the color filament manual, which has your calibration card on there. All of your cables you're going to need. And of
Did
course,
you know we did an interview with the guys from them last week? Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember.
It was last week. Of course, all nicely foam packaged. The only thing you have to assemble, quote unquote, is just adding the Bowden tubes through the feeder and onto the extruder.
Okay.
Super easy.
Forget the piece of glass.
Oh, the piece of glass was on the top part, and just goes right on there. And
what was another thing?
The Z-Rod,
this is Pedro upgrading.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, like I was saying, the Mac won't connect to it anymore, so I have to use this little mini PC that I have with.
Is it a Kangaroo PC? Or something?
Yeah.
No. Cool.
But that works perfectly using the Windows version.
Sure.
The branded Cura Sigma version of this.
Isn't that a 3D printed enclosure for that display, the Adafruit display?
Yeah.
A project.
Yep, you can check that out.
Quite useful for Raspberry Pis and Kangaroos.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So there we go. And I think the Z-Rod probably didn't.
The Z-Rod.
So this was the only thing that was
loose
on there?
If any of you famous YouTubers out there who got your Sigma and you find that there's a problem, that maybe the screws are loose. I don't know. Ours was.
Yeah.
Simple
so
fix.
Very simple, yeah.
No one to blame here.
It's just when you're shipping things from around the
world.
globe. Yeah.
Okay. Next to Germany.
Some
Sorry.
some of the things to check out.
I can't get over that, man. How? So something about the SD card in the back here. We have a video clip about the SD card. Be careful with it. Don't break it. Pedro broke it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to update the LCD files with the capacitive touchscreen.
So this is a part of the upgrade. You do have to do this.
Yeah, when you're updating the firmware, you occasionally do have to update the LCD files that are. It runs like the UI for it. So it's a little bit more difficult to get the SD card in there.
I'm surprised your camera was nicely in there.
Yeah, I actually had to take apart the whole inside of it to actually get this shot. So you could see there the way that it comes off. And when I tried updating it, it looks like the UI was flipped on that. So I don't know if it was mounted upside down or if, somewhere in the settings for it has like 180 rotation.
Like the Pi, you can tell it what rotation have. Okay.
Yeah, but it is a little bit more difficult to get the LCD SD card on there.
But you did get it, right? It worked. It's okay?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
So just some things to watch out for. And even though I did get the ringing on the parts that I was trying to print, when I printed out the Marvin on the included G-code files on the SD card, that came out really good. So it looks like this is a 0.06 layer height.
Really?
Yeah.
0.06 layer height?
Yeah, that came out very good. So it's definitely not a mechanical thing. It's just the way that the Simplify 3D settings for extrusion.
Do we have that Marvin somewhere? No?
I think it's in the kitchen somewhere.
Don't worry about it. Sorry about that. Whatever you did,
actually, it's right here.
The audio just spiked like crazy.
That's probably just the chair. But yeah, that came out very well.
All right. And that's about the extent of what we want to talk about. There's a little Marvin. We don't really print Marvins or benchies, but hey.
Well, we're trying to verify things that might be our...
Is it our slicer? Yes, it's our slicer.
It's something the slicer, yeah. It's not going to focus.
No, it's not, because I don't have it set to auto, and auto never works anyway, so... There you go. Maybe closer. You want to go closer? There you go.
Yeah, really good job on that. There's no ringing artifacts on that. Nice and smooth, but for whatever reason, we're getting the... Oh man, it's so noticeable.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a guaro instrument, or something. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so just going through some of the slice settings for that. Again, this is with the older, exact same file, same material and everything. Nice and smooth, and the artifacts on this one. But they're always updating like the firmware and their slice settings, so they'll probably figure it out by when I wake up in the morning. Looks like they're always pushing commits out on GitHub. So overall, super impressed with the new steppers and the upgrades for like their new nozzles and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So again, big ups to their new printer. Really cool. Good. It's going to be once this is figured out, it's definitely going to be our go-to printer for all of the time lapses and of course all the
R16
projects.
Already is.
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
So cool. Check that out.
Okay. Sorry about the ears. Sorry about your ears. We didn't mean to make you go deaf.
Yeah, I don't know what
Apologize.
It was.
It's just lava. It's just a thing with lavalier mics. All right.
Looking at the notes, and I think it is time for this week's Community Makes.
You sure?
Yep.
That's all the stuff. I wanted to show my Nintendo Switch nozzle. Is that not in the notes?
No, it's in there. I just didn't know what the time was. You got 5 minutes, so quickly, crap. It's just a tease, yeah.
Boy. Time.
So you probably know we're not really gamers or anything.
I'm not a gamer.
When the Switch came out, just because of how the Wii U, the response to that wasn't as hot. It's sort of a coin toss. Like, is this going to be popular or not? Should we invest time into actually making something for it? But immediately we started seeing everybody uploading Switch designs to Thingiverse, and
mainly a stand, because apparently the stand isn't that good.
Stands, holders for the Joy-Cons.
Yes, there's a whole slew. There's a collection on Thingiverse that's like on the homepage of just Nintendo Switch stuff. So 3D printing stuff for your Switch seems to be a thing that is useful, if not, it's just useful. Yeah.
So what really, the push really came with Scott when he was over hanging out with the folks over at BCN 3D. Was like, hey man, just get it, do some projects for it. Some of the suggestions that he had is using all the camera parts that we have for like making tripods.
No, that's instantly what I want to do. As I was playing it on the kickstand, I was like, this is not really ergonomical.
I like that it has a built-in kickstand, but yeah, like everybody was saying, it is pretty flimsy. You're still looking down at it, hurting your neck and back, sort of hunched over. So it would be nice if we could attach this to a tripod where you could level it up, so it's a nice angle for viewing.
No, Switch. That's funny. Fancy tablet. Yes, it's basically a tablet with two things on it.
And oh man, gouged in terms of the pricing. $399. We got it for like double the price because nobody else has it. And this is like at Walmart too. So just to give reference to the iPhone 7 Plus, and it's pretty big in terms of just the screen. Oh, actually no. It's almost about the same size as the screen.
Yeah, I think the screen, is it really 720p? It's not 1080?
I haven't even looked at any of the settings for this.
I don't know, the specs and stuff, yeah. So anyway, the real thing I wanted to talk about, not the Switch, but I printed this out, which is the stand for my phone. And what I wanted to do here was, so I printed this before, right, another version. It took 8 hours to print. 8 hours, Pedro. That's a lot of hours for a silly little.
And I think the dual extrusion one actually took about 11 hours.
Yes.
So
we did a dual extrusion version. This is mainly for like the Raspberry Pi, and then I adapted it for my phone. Recently, I wanted to have it again, so I thought, you know, what I'll try to do is print this out with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle with a large layer height, 0.5 millimeter nozzle, and I was able to print this in 1 hour and 20 minutes. It went from 8 hours to 1 hour. This is where this type of thing really makes sense because I'm not worried about the detail. It's a very functional thing. It's actually a little bit stronger since the layers are thicker as a 0.5 layer height. It's heavier. The tolerances don't kind of matter too much. I'm not fitting something into another thing. So I think this is really useful, guys. Again, it's not going to focus for you. Let me do that for you right there. What are you trying to show? Just how
the layer. So instead of like having to look at this,
so I did have to play with the width extrusion a little bit just to kind of fudge the numbers so that it generates. So Simplify 3 would generate a nice straight line, nice kind of optimized toolpaths. So that just took a little bit of playing with. But other than that, using that 0.6 nozzle really saved my day. And I want to talk about. I have a friend, Yanni, who does a lot of 3D printing for his work, and he has now kind of switched from a 0.4 nozzle to just a 0.6 and even a 0.8 nozzle on his ATMaker, and he is getting faster prints, stronger prints, just better experience with it. So they're really, for industrial use, I think, brackets, maybe automotive parts, maybe just things to hold other things together. You can get really fast prints with a large nozzle. I just can't get over the fact that it took 1.5 hours to print, and this would take 8 hours on a regular 0.4 nozzle. And there's some speed actually not really. The speed was 59 millimeters a second with a 50% underspeed for like the outline, and it's still 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's crazy.
And again,
my brain is blown from that.
So again, this was on the BCN Sigma. We printed this on. It's just blue tape, no heat, 0.6 millimeter nozzle with a 0.5 millimeter layer height.
Yes, the 0.5 bill is the layer height. The nozzle itself is a 0.6 millimeter. And that thing is, so check out this video, right? We got a video here. This video.
Man, I can't wait to test out the 1 millimeter nozzle because
Aiden really showcased how massive and cool you can make big prints. So just a quick time lapse of this thing printing. This is of course a time lapse with an interval of, I don't know, 30 seconds or 10 seconds or something. But yeah, 1 hour and 20 minutes. Cool. Obviously it eats through filament quite a bit because you're using more of it. Right? Yeah. What else? Here's just it printing. This part used support materials. How well does support material perform with a 0.6 nozzle and a 0.5 millimeter layer height? Well, you have to add more separation layer. I forget the name of it, the exact setting. It's a part of the Simplify 3D support stuff where you have just more distance, air gap maybe it's called in Cura. Distance between the support material and the part itself. It's defaulted by 0.7. I had to increase to 1.3 to make it kind of acceptable. This is just a quick time lapse to show you just how fast the filament reel is going through. No, just kidding, that's sped up. Not by much. So here's just kind of like how the support material performed in terms of like how easy is it. It's a little bit hard. I probably make it 1.4, 1.5 air gap. That's again the distance between the support material and your part itself. Just like that. You do need support materials for this part just because of the design, the way it is and the way it's oriented. So
definitely always check out to increase the layer separation. For that.
So I'm just saying
when you're upping your nozzle diameter.
Yes, that's the point. That's the takeaway. Yeah. That's it. Cool. And again, it happened to fit the Nintendo Switch just fine.
Yeah, so actually this wasn't planned, but it's very satisfying to know that it clicks right on there.
Yeah.
And the
USB-C port is exposed, so you can kind
lines up really well. The height is enough so it won't bend when you arrange it
yes,
through the back
that was the
and
goal.
out of the back.
Connectors are like what, this long. You need that much clearance.
And the braces that you sort of look like the Triforce logo
yeah,
in Link. It's
so
funny. It all falls into place.
I haven't released this file. If you want it, maybe I should release it.
You have like a Ninja Flex bottom on here to add some grippiness when you have it on the table. But for now, because of the weight of the Switch and the weight of the part itself, it stays on there pretty good.
Tuna is saying, did we see MakerBot's new mini fill? Yes, we did. We took a quick look at it. We don't really use Makerware
anymore.
Is that what it's called? I don't even
Makerware.
remember the name. Yeah, so we don't really use Makerware all that often. I use Simplify 3D heavily
And Cura.
in Cura. But Simplify 3D has that wrapper, the ability to make an X3G file,
Mm-hmm.
which is what the MakerBot
.MakerBot
uses.
file as well.
Right. I forgot they even had that.
Yeah.
So we took a look at it, but we really haven't tried it. I don't think...
Put the autofocus on. That's annoying.
You sure? Yeah. I mean, it never works. That's why I never have it on. So
there you go. Okay, cool. We can jump in with that. Just bleed right into this week's Q&A.
Yeah, running a little bit late, but it's fine. Okay. Community makes. I got some cool projects from folks in the community. I'll start off with just real quick. Just if you do have a Nintendo Switch, you know, Thingiverse has a collection.
There
a bunch of
are
stuff.
a ton already. This is really what
Too much
opened my
stuff.
eyes. It was like, wow, this thing is popular.
There's some awesome stuff on
lot of people are making stuff
My
for it.
Manufactory as well. Sorry, I don't have the page, but My Manufactory has a lot of kind of really nice looking ones. So this is the project from Kirby. Kirby, how do you say your last name? Kirby G. And this is basically a sort of a way to clock the speed of your Hot Wheels cars.
Awesome,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, so it uses the Adafruit Feather, the M0 Proto board, and the OLED wing. 3D printed kind of parts to hold all the stuff together. And
Very nice photography too.
yeah, really nice photography. Great job. Great write-up. I read through it. Good job on the code as well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Good stuff. It uses 2 IR sensor brake beam sensors.
And this is actually Kirby's third guide with us.
Yeah, this is great. So check that out. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, so I'm just going to call you Kirby G. Kirby G from Wisconsin. So yeah, pretty cool project.
Yeah, and, he was saying how doing the project was really easy, but documenting was the
That's
hardest
the hard
part.
I understand, yeah.
So
every week it's like, oh, I have to write something.
I know.
I'm getting more and more acquainted with writing, so maybe that'll bleed into
And this is
the
our
videos.
Again, this is like our third, almost fourth year doing this. So having to do one every single week,
Yeah.
it is a lot of time that has to go into these.
Yay. So I appreciate you doing that. Kirby also won a contest,
Oh yeah.
a make contest. Make sponsored a contest from Hackster.io. Hackster.io is a kind of project community site where you can share your projects. Very nice. He won the first prize, which I'm not sure what it is. Maybe you can let me know, Kirby. It's basically a pie game. So you kind of
Very
test
awesome.
how many digits of pi you know by typing into the keypad. You hit enter, and then it tells you what your score is, how many digits you got right. So it's really
Super
cool.
cool.
Very clever.
And he CNC'd the entire
Yeah, so
enclosure.
Kirby just got a CNC machine. I think it was the Shapeoko kit, and he milled out this lovely enclosure out of some wood.
Very
Pretty cool. There's probably a 3D printed version as well. So very nice documentation. Everything's laid out. All the parts are listed out there.
Nice fritzing.
Beautiful fritzing diagram, and you know, code and stuff. It's great.
Most important part.
I love the CAD stuff. So
I like the way that you're able to break that apart.
oh yeah, and this explosion mode. All the buttons go breaking out. So you did an awesome job. Like even the
Oh,
Raspberry
the
Pi
detailed
is,
Raspberry Pi, yeah.
I think it's something you can get from GrabCAD. Good stuff. All that's open source, of course.
So Kirby's saying that the prize was a year subscription to Make, Pi Zero W, and $100 Maker Shed credit.
Wow.
Congrats.
Congrats,
Nice.
man. That's great stuff.
Although with the Pi Zero W, I'm pretty sure I've seen Kirby win like at least 5 Raspberry Pi Zeros.
Yeah. Hey,
got,
he's
like,
going
a
to use
stack
them,
of
okay?
them.
Kirby's
Yeah,
the kind
this
of
is
guy who
true.
will actually use
He actually uses them, yeah.
them. Great stuff. Contributes all the
Mhm.
time. The next project I want to talk about is a planer from Flowalistic.
This is awesome.
Yeah, we love Flowalistic. And his latest project is a Zelda-inspired themed planter. I'm a huge fan of planters. That's how I got my start in 3D printing. I made a bunch of planters and stuff. I'm not sure if you know about that. But yeah, this is great. It's optimized for dual extrusion, and there's also a single extrusion version, so it's just pretty neat.
I think one of the most important things too, if you're gonna really use this as a planter, is that it has drainage on the bottom.
There's a version with drainage. Pretty cool. So check that out, and you can check out his Patreon campaign as well if you want to support him.
Yep.
This one is from Bill, who's in the chat room, of ATMakers. This is an AT Switch, so it's a 3D printed parts to make it easier for folks that need assistive tech to push a button. It is using kind of like a regular momentary type button, a spring to kind of push the button back up, all 3D printed parts. There's some custom threading here, which is nice. And it uses the
very cool.
audio jack.
I did not see this.
Yeah, I watched the video. There's a video.
Check out the video as well. Very nice.
I'll have it on the blog.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get to it real quick, but all designed in Fusion 360. It's all 3D printed, and really great way to get easy to press buttons for folks that need that. So cool. And there's of course a full guide on how to do this. The video I saw earlier was like a 20-minute video of literally every single step.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. Great. Nicely done. Yeah.
From all the parts of how to set up your wires for soldering.
Yeah, another thing, if you are interested in assistive tech, there is a group on Thingiverse, which I did not know about, but now I know about it. There's all these things here, so you can see at a glance, visually, Pedro, all the things that are being posted. So all these type of assistive tech stuff is here. So
very
great
cool
stuff.
Yeah, definitely. If you have some idle time on printers, want to help people out, especially for schools and education, this is definitely things to get involved with.
Cool. And I believe there's a ATMakers group as well.
Yep.
So check that out.
Very cool.
Good stuff. That's it. That's all. Hopefully, we'll have Bill on the show and tell tonight. I think we can talk more about it.
Cool.
It's okay if it's not. Things happen. Cool. And that is the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. If you did find this show useful, you can let us know with the like button thing. That's always nice. Comments. Thank you for the chat, guys.
It looks like we're over time, so crap. Don't really have time for Q&A, but real quick.
Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't do Q&A. What happened?
Simon, what's up, Simon?
Hey, Simon.
The chat room is asking, what is up with the palette? So, the palette is sitting over there. I've tried a lot of settings and tweaking like mechanical things inside of it to try to get it to work, but in the end, it just keeps producing these bulges where it fuses the two
splices,
where it splices the filament together. It just keeps getting clogged on the Type A machine.
Yeah, hopefully other folks have better luck than we do.
Yeah.
We don't have all the time in the world to invest into getting these things to work, so sometimes we just get stuck at a roadblock and you have to move on. That's the thing with a bunch of these tools and 3D printing in general. It's kind of the cold, hard truth of 3D printing. It never works.
Yeah, and I tried it on the replicator too. I tried it on the Flash Forge, and it just keeps getting clogged right where it gets to the part where the two filaments are like melted together. Like there's
great
always
companies. They have great people, smart people working behind there. They're great people. They're very, very responsive.
Yeah, it's just that I can't get mine to work, even though I keep seeing Type A machines themselves printing stuff. Yep, he says he's receiving one soon. Yeah, definitely let us know on what settings you use if you can get it to work. But my experience has been it always clogs on the exact same spot.
It's supposed to work with a Bowden tube because you just kind of have this this distance that you type in and you calibrate when you first set it up. So it's supposed to work with Delta machines, Bowden systems, including the Lulzbot. Yes.
Should work on the Lulzbot. Yeah, I actually tried using it on. On the ATMaker and on the Sigma. Yeah, I tried it on everything. Like I spent like a week, like full week.
You can't get that week back, Pedro. I'm sorry.
I know. What pays the bills is making projects, not testing or reviewing stuff. So unfortunately, I gotta move on until.
Yeah, there's priorities in place. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you do want to support the show and support your maker habit, you can do so. There's another coupon code tonight. Again, tonight is the show and tell at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Ask Engineer with Lamar and Phil, followed by that right after that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
We are always there, so stop by, say hi, show off your project.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week and later tonight. Good luck with all your maker endeavors.
Bye, folks.
Guys.
See ya.